This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, April the 12th, 2022, episode 378. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. My name is Nick Craig. You can check out my daily political antics by visiting nickcraig.com and downloading the Wilmington's Morning News podcast. You can also follow me over on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Joining me as he does each and every week from the great state of Idaho, Brian with an I, Aldrich. Hello, Brian. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well, and hopefully, if you see flickering on my screen, it's not you, it's me. A loose cable. There you go. And so you'll see it kind of come and go. But by next week's show, we'll have a new one here, and it'll be fine. But it won't affect the show. Audio and everything else is coming through fine. If you want to contact me, at Brian Aldrich on Gab, Parler, Getter, and whatever else comes along, I'm sure. If you want to go check out my blog, it's biteoftech.com. And then go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. And on the right-hand side, join our server on Discord, where we have different channels for a news channel. If you want to submit news topics, maybe a game that you think we should be checking out. We have on there ways to watch the show live. So Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, and DLive, or you can watch those after the fact. We also have ways that you can listen to it after the fact while you're on the road through a lot of different devices. At the lower right-hand side, there's links for every possible way that you would want to listen to the show through whatever type of platform. So a lot of different ways to do that. And if you are going to listen to it, I encourage you just to go to the particular episode that you're going to be listening to and check out these show notes, because we've got links for all the different topics that we discussed, a video and audio player built into there, a lot of ways that you can go and pretty much follow along while listening to the podcast and see everything that we see. So it makes it for the people that maybe don't have the bandwidth to watch the video. It's an easy way for them to still see the whole show. If you want to support us, though, you can go to the support tab up top or infectionpodcast.com/support, Prime Gaming subs, Humble Bundle, Amazon Prime, subscribe star, a lot of different ways you can do that. That'll hopefully go towards a live event sometime. So once they start making that acceptable again, we'll all meet in person and go paint the town. We'll see where. Seattle, Vegas.
Paint the town's a good way to put it. I want to thank a couple of folks for hitting us up with a resubscription, including our friend Falcon, hitting us up with the 36-month resubscription here on Twitch. Falcon, thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. Falcon says, don't have the bandwidth to watch the show. Oof, that's rough. Yeah, it is rough, and unfortunately,
true.
It's true. Yeah, as rough as it
we've
is.
We've had people that couldn't watch the show, and they, that was a big issue, and so they would listen to it. And the show notes are really helpful, because sometimes we'll talk about a video. It's fine for them to go play a 30-second to a 5-minute video when it eats up all their bandwidth trying to stream a whole show. So
yeah. So Brian, we've got a lot of all over the place news here.
Yeah, I know it's random.
It's very random. You put it together. I read through a good chunk of it. Where do you want to take us here to start?
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with China, because there's been some
great
action in China here recently. And first of all, remember we talked about them not approving video games? Like they stopped approving video games a while ago.
It wasn't that they stopped. It's like they used to approve, like, it was some crazy number, like 14,000 a month, and they cut it down to like 1,000. Like, it was a huge drop off from what they were approving to what they had been approving to what they were going to be approving.
Well, so, they stopped in July approving. Like, they hadn't approved any since July. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so finally, they've approved 45 games. So the first licenses they've given out to be able to make games in China since July of 2021. So this has been all a part of their whole thing of trying to combat. There's some interesting things. If you really look at what they're trying to do, they're trying to combat online gaming addiction, is what they claim. But then if you look at some of the other things, they're putting big restrictions on femininity in games. Any of the LGBTQ stuff is not allowed in any of their games. They're cracking down and trying to make it to where if a man is shown in a feminine in an effeminate way, that can't be in a video game. So just kind of weird rules. But in part of it, I think what they're trying to do, of course, how much of this is opinion versus the actual what they were saying in the article, is they're trying to make it to where they have a strong army again. They think that their young people are too weak and they're not soldiers and all that stuff. So they're figuring if they make it to where they don't see these things in games, it'll make them more, I don't know, testosterone more. I don't know what they expect to happen, but they're thinking that this is going to help them get their young people to create a clean cyberspace for the majority of netizens, especially young people.
So that's an interesting development that they're getting back to that. Obviously, lots of Chinese games kind of flooding the market everywhere across the world, but a big ban there in China. So it looks like that is that's going to loosen back up, and we might start seeing some more video games.
Well, okay, more video games coming, but they're expanding their online gaming limits to include live streaming and social media.
What does that mean?
So they have new regulations that are aimed at combating the internet addiction against among minors again. So this is all part of that whole plan that they're doing. Because they said they've issued a call. They want to strengthen cyberspace governance in accordance with the law, strengthening the construction of online content, and create a clean cyberspace for the majority of netizens, especially young people. So they said these new regulations are aimed at addressing internet literacy among minors.
Internet literacy?
I don't know. Like they're trying to make them understand the internet.
Does that mean
better?
That you don't type good? Is that the kind of internet literacy they're trying to?
I'm assuming they're trying to make it to where they use the internet right. They're not using they're looking at picture books and they want them to use the internet. I don't know. Who knows?
Well,
I've never heard of internet literacy.
If they're Chinese picture books, there's probably some. Well, I guess that's more Japanese picture books, but they're probably very interesting and very provocative. If I've seen the Steam category of
China,
visual novels that are being read. Yeah, internet literacy seems like that's like a '90s term, Brian, that was used in like kind of a marketing like that would be like Kim
when people
Commando.
didn't know about the internet.
Yeah, Kim Commando.
Well, okay, where are they at on the internet though? Because there are people that are savvy with the internet somewhat over there. They use VPNs, they do all these things, but I would assume that they're kind of in the 90s stage of some places are probably just getting access to the internet the way that we did.
But it's interesting because it says among minors, but so you're talking about a generation though, and obviously I've never been to China, but there are some parallels between our generation of minors and theirs in the idea that they were brought up around technology. Now I know that the freedoms of technology are not exactly the same as they are. They're nowhere like what they are here in the United States, but there's some semblance of growing up in it and around it. So that's a bit surprising to me. Now it does say inform content norms for that, protecting minors.
Or content norms. But I don't know what that means. Inform information content norms.
The reason
that just means,
well, that's through translation.
Follow what they want, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's through translation.
Standards.
So
they're going to have information content standards. I bet you that means
but they already have that
a certain set of Well, but they're enforcing those now. They're aimed at tuning them down even more.
Interesting. They want to protect minors' personal information. That is complete to the contrary of what they have with a system in which you have to prove your identity to play video games online past certain hours, so that doesn't make any sense. And then prevent and controlling internet addiction among minors. Nothing mentioned in this article has to do with, well, maybe it's communism that is actually leading to individuals' unwillingness to actually want to do anything besides sit on the internet all day and, play video games and browse the internet. So maybe that's something that China will check out, but probably not.
Well, I kind of doubt that. Who knows?
Wishful thinking, Brian. Hey, I'm a very optimistic person these days, Brian. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Another thing happened in China here in the last couple of weeks is they seized $3 million worth of AMD graphics cards in China. So
were these legitimate graphics cards, or were these like fakes that were? I mean, if anything, it would have been.
I think these are real ones because they said the value exceeded $3 million US.
Holy smokes!
I assume these are the real things. These are I'm trying to see which GPUs they have them on here.
XFX.
6700s are well. Let's see. Oh no, that was they're talking about. Yeah, it might be an FXX. I'll have to look and see if they show it on here. The exact one. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Yeah, XFX China.
Well, I can tell you this.
I don't know which card it is.
Having an XFX card in years past, highly recommend against. XFX is a terrible company.
Yeah.
Their RMA and support process is terrible. These were AMD cards. These were RX series XFX cards that were seized, and apparently the reason is that the documents that came with the shipment did not match what was on the shipment itself, which I find interesting because why the hell would these cards have been? These cards would have come from China in the first place, would they have not?
So they're trying to bypass probably certain fees. I bet you they put something else on the manifest so that when they pay the taxes on it, they're paying taxes on something that's cheaper or that's allowed
true.
without taxes. Because remember, they just opened up all these things that can now come into here tax free. They probably marked it as computer cases or something else that's on that list of things that can come in that don't get taxed.
Well, that's
my guess.
That's a dangerous thing to do in China. That's just as dangerous as stealing a North Korean flag from an embassy. Is not necessarily met with the most level-headed approach. So a ballsy thing for XFX to do.
And that was 5,840 graphics cards.
Well, no wonder I can't get a GPU.
Yeah,
they're all stuck in China, being seized.
See, here we go. It was found that the specifications and models displayed on the actual labels that were covered did not match the declaration specifications and models. So the batch of graphics cards was sampled and submitted for inspection in accordance with the law. After identification, the actual specifications and models of them did not match, and the value of the goods exceeded 20 million won. So they definitely, they were trying to pay less in taxes. They were putting cheaper cards and things so that they could go by with paying less money.
A little bit of tomfoolery going on there to skirt the legal boundaries by my estimation. Interesting.
Yes. And then, part of this too is China's, their Silicon Valley's been shutting down due to COVID. And I've been hearing in the last week or two, various places shutting down. This is going to continue to affect our hardware. I mean, this is something that's not going away in the short term as long as they continue shutting down places where they headquarter, Tencent and Huawei. Is it Huawei? Huawei. There we go. Yeah. They have these places. Well, when they shut down, they're not making video cards. They're not making whatever for a month. Well, that's a lot of cards that would have been made. It's just making the prices go up. It's making everything worse. So hopefully they'll start getting that figured out, because it seems like they're really resistant to just open that country up. China also arrested another guy, and they called him walking CPU. He was smuggling 160 CPUs on his body, trying to bypass, once again, taxes.
160 on his body?
Yeah, he taped 160 CPUs to his body and tried to make it through. Through customs. So
that sounds like sounds like a Seinfeld episode with Kramer having like a long trench coat trying to smuggle something into like Shea Stadium, I think is what the episode was. So again, these are super risky things to do in China. They will literally throw you in jail for the rest of your life. I mean, these are like, there are things that you can get away with, like in the US, like if you want to drugs is one thing, but like trying to maybe
drugs
smuggle
is
things.
Closest to that in China, I would say. Drugs here is probably the closest to something like this in China. They'll send you away for 5-10 years and just be like, knock it off. Well, they do that here too. They send you to prison sometimes for 5 or 10 years and say, knock it off.
Except there's not like nevertheless. But it's just very interesting to see when it's things like, and it just goes to show you, Brian, again, that the market in China causes people to want to smuggle in CPUs that, by the way, are made in China. Most of these things are made in China.
Yeah. And it's very odd, but and were they smuggling in or out? I had to see on this.
No, I must have been smuggling them in, because you're not going to pay. You're not going to pay I doubt you're paying an export tax on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is whether or not they're paying. Well, there's the list. Remember, they just released that list of certain things that are now not taxed and not they have less of a tax or no tax. that's very recent. Like some of these things are probably right before that, and not all these things are covered. It was mostly industrial equipment for building factories and things.
Yeah.
That's what they took the taxes off.
Hmm.
Uh,
Interesting.
so that's China. Things happening in China, weird things, but hey, it's China, so we'll see what happens next.
I want to talk
You have a
about this
preference where
story.
we go next?
Yeah, I found this story really pretty interesting. Everybody remembers GOG, GOG. They were super popular kind of back in the day. It was just kind of a marketplace in which you were able to get some kind of interesting games at cheap prices. You're talking about like the mid 2010s when this all first kind of came to a head. They have
Zork, Return to
announced.
Zork. I love getting those ones on this.
Yeah, so GOG.com was a cool website, and it originally started for Good Old Games. That's what it started, and then it rebranded itself to GOG as the acronym. But they've announced that they are returning to some of their roots of their old name, Good Old Games, in which they are going to be selling. They're going to ramp up selling current releases, working big on DRM-free distribution games. So not attached to Steam or EA or Battle.net, and they're going to they're going to just begin ramping up the kind of, we'll call it the alt game market, Brian, for individuals that are not necessarily hell-bent on having their entire library in Steam. This is very big on the indie market as well. Not everybody's, I think some of us, myself included, are in a bit of a, every game I own on the PC is in Steam or Battle.net. I couldn't tell you the last time I purchased a DRM free game. But there's thousands of them that do not exist on Steam or anywhere else and are on these sites like GOG, like G2A, and some of these other platforms. So they've got they're getting back to their roots, and I mean, it kind of makes sense at this point. That's a market that Steam is not going to touch, obviously, and it's a good.
Well, what about the Steam Deck? These will work on the Steam Deck, right? Because you can still launch them on there
if they run in Linux.
Well, and you can put other launchers on there. Well, I think you can still do it through their emulator, because I don't think you have to have. I don't think it has to be everything. You can. I think you can put an app that would then run these games through it.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on the compatibility layer for the game. The problem you're going to run into with some of these indie games is there's not going to be the community support likely behind them, because they're not the Cyberpunk or the Grand Theft Auto or whatever other AAA game you're talking about. But I'm just looking at it now. There's a whole bunch of stuff on here. Old Diablo games, Dragon Age, and these are launcher free games. I mean, looking at this Dragon Age Origin Ultimate Edition, this is DRM free, so no activation or online connectivity required. You'll have an EXE on your computer that you can launch and play this game on. So a little bit of a return to that. If you're kind of into this alt space, check out GOG. They're going back to some of their roots from about a decade or so ago.
And they also have a launcher. One thing I don't know if you've seen this, but they have. I don't know if it's the GOG Galaxy launcher, because it's GOG Galaxy Store, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they have this launcher that will connect to all of your other services and show you a master game list.
Yeah, so, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so they've got it to where it'll interface with everything, and you can play that. You can launch them all in one place. So if you do have games in there, go check out that utility.
And especially if you have it's called GOG Galaxy, and if you have a whole bunch of these DRM free games, this is a nice way to see, like, okay, this is what I have available and what I have installed. So it's a launcher, but it's also it's essentially like a file organizer, for lack of a better term, of what you have available on your system. So
people can make plugins and interface with whatever service. It's totally been programmed to be flexible. And cool. So if there's like the Epic Store, whenever a new one comes out, even if it's a small one, someone can make a plugin to interface with it. So it is pretty interesting. Check it out if you haven't seen it, but it's their GOG Galaxy launcher.
GOG.com for that.
Yeah, GOG. So all right. Well, let's let's jump into a few small stories here really quick, and then go from there. Epic has something that was announced here pretty recently, that Sony and Lego, they make the little Legos that I step on now all the time, has invested $2 billion into Epic. That's a pretty big, it's a pretty big investment. It's all towards that metaverse.
Yeah, this is makes
I think you're going to
absolutely
start
no
hearing.
sense.
Well, I think you're going to start hearing more and more about the metaverse because if you look, the new engine and the changes they've been making in Unreal Engine 5 have been really focused at big open world content. So I think it's all kind of moving towards this of having a giant world, and there's a lot of things happening, but they're going to be investing $2 billion. Who knows what the metaverse is actually going to be? A lot of people questioning, okay, what's that mean? But this is I know there's $1 billion from I think Sony, and then $1 billion from Lego. So what do you think that maybe they'll be making it to where you can build Legos in a virtual environment?
Well, and see, that's the problem. And the article says this. It says, unfortunately, the announcement does not address the most fundamental lingering question about the metaverse. What exactly is it? Is it bullshit?
Yeah.
But Epic said the three companies aim to, quote, create new social entertainment exploring the connections between digital and physical worlds. So if I had to guess, maybe when because they still have, and I will fully admit, Brian, it's been years since I've received a Lego set or purchased one. But they have some of these large Lego sets they're expensive. You can spend 60, 70, 80 bucks on a big set. Wouldn't it be cool if you also got the ability to not only build it in person, but then you could also take that same thing and build it and have kind of like a playground to kind of play around with it on the computer? Maybe that's what they're going towards.
Yeah, you buy the packs and it gives you
but
access
that's not
to the ability
metaverse.
to build it on your computer.
But see, that's the thing though, and I think that's where this term is so frustrating to me. If the idea is you buy a physical product, you also get a digital copy that you can manipulate as you want, that is not to me metaverse. That is just a digital copy of something that you're already buying. If a digital copy of the physical product, that's not metaverse. At least to me, it's not.
Yeah, but then let's say it's an item now that you've put together and then you can put up on a shelf in your virtual house or your virtual.
Yeah, but where? Area. What virtual house does Epic have that you can put it in?
They haven't created. I mean, that's the thing.
That's the point.
I think it's all towards things they're creating.
Yeah, I don't know. This, I will agree. I don't often agree with PC Gamer, but I will agree. Their thought on the topic is that the whole metaverse conversation is bullshit. I tend to agree completely because I'm not seeing, I'm just not seeing anything in there. A commenter on YouTube says it's just a new way to interact with websites and products. Exactly. And that's not metaverse. Yep. And if that is metaverse, that's fine. But then let's call it what it is and let's rebrand metaverse, because when you say now metaverse, your initial impression is virtual reality, some sort of Second Life equivalent, and maybe that's just a misunderstanding, but that's kind of how it's been laid out thus far. If metaverse is
Ready Player One as well, kind of Ready Player One.
Yeah, kind of, and yeah,
I think that's what people envision.
Well, that's kind of how it's been promoted, and that's kind of how it's been laid out. Is that's what it's going to be, and I'm not sure that that's what it is, and I'm not sure why calling it that is. Like, for example, would Pokemon Go have been called metaverse? In this day and age, probably, but it's not.
But
it's augmented reality.
Okay, look at what they were doing with that big Minecraft world. Remember the thing we were supposed to make it where you could do, was it Minecraft?
Realms?
But they had it where you could put buildings, or you could do things in the real world. I thought it was Minecraft that was doing that. But they had it where you could go and you could put an object out there or build something, and everybody would see it. And so that, to me, is kind of a metaverse because it's a big world of things. But I think that's the closest you're going to get.
But you just committed the cardinal sin, Brian. You said everybody can see it. Everybody, yes. Where?
Everybody who's in that virtual environment,
exactly.
who's viewing it through whatever. Exactly.
And that's precisely
and everyone else
problem.
Outside of it has no clue what's going on unless you have a sign that says, "Hey, you're in the metaverse."
Welcome, metaverse, 12 miles.
Yeah, 12 miles this way.
On YouTube, another comment. Web 3.0 is a better word that people seem to be mixing up with metaverse. Now that I agree with. Web 3.0 makes a lot of sense, and I've seen a lot of stuff with that. Falcon Rain says when you say metaverse, he says he pictures a better version of VR chat. That's kind of what I envision as well. But obviously, it is not being used in that case because what and again, we don't know exactly what the announcement is and what exactly is going to happen here, but from what it sounds like, again, reading from the press release, they aim to create a new social environment exploring the connection between digital and physical worlds. To me, that just is, here's your Millennium Falcon Lego kit on the Unreal Engine. That's kind of what I envision. So I don't know.
And I think that there is possibly a point, they tried with Google Glasses to create something to where somehow the digital and the real world interact.
Yeah,
augmented
reality.
Glasses, how many do you see right now? So I think they're still struggling. How do we bring this reality in without have people walking around with headsets on where they can't see where they're going? Like I think they're still struggling how to bring them in without a phone, which is a point.
Yeah. When you're talking about Google Glass, which was 2012, 2013, and it had its little boom and sizzle when it first came out, but they didn't release any updated versions to it. It essentially fell off the wayside. There's still that one guy,
the way Google does.
There's the one guy on Twitter, the tech journalist, whose picture is still him in the shower with his Google Glass on. I don't remember what his name is.
Oh yeah,
you know the picture, Brian. If you close your eyes,
I know. Blonde guy. Yeah,
yeah, blonde guy with his Google Glass.
He was a
tech guy.
He promoted things, but they have a term for them. He's an
influencer,
an evangelist. He's an influencer. He was something
evangelist.
That's what they called him. He was like a tech evangelist, or I remember him very well. But yeah, that guy. Okay.
Yeah, that guy.
Once they get past that, and I think it's going to have to come to the point of maybe some sort of a contact lens or something. I think once they get to the point of having it to where you feel like you're there, then they'll be able to seamlessly start to transition things together. Because until I walk around and when I'm walking past you, maybe a little information thing that says a few things about you pops up. When there's a place where everybody, like Facebook, that's why people look at Facebook, and it's like everybody has Facebook, right? Or at least can have Facebook, or has had Facebook, or knows someone who has Facebook. Until that metaverse, whatever platform that is on, is like that, then it's not gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna take off. It's got to be to where people, like your grandma, is almost on it. Like they got to get it that easy.
Yeah.
Or else it's not going to be meta. It's just going to be a little niche of people doing stuff like Google Glass did.
Yeah, Brian wants to walk by me and have the Fallout HUD pop up that shows all of my body parts and what kind of damage can be done.
What damage you take. Yeah, well, Falcon Rain, he brings up Neuralink. I mean, look at what Elon Musk is that Elon Musk, right? He's working on Neuralink.
The con man, yeah.
Well, and so they're trying to make it to where your brain directly interfaces. Well, that'd be one way to do it, where you can start injecting data directly in your brain. It makes me nervous, but that would be one way. They've got to get it to where it's seamless, because I don't think there's going to be any metaverse until you don't have to put on a pair of glasses to be in there.
Yeah, I
think that just kills it for me.
Yeah, Brian wants a VAT system for real life. When you
are
walking around and see a person, you can immediately see what kind of damage they can take and all of the interesting. Well, and I think that's kind of what China's trying to do with their social credit system. I mean, it's not with the heads-up display, but you scan your card or whatever when you're buying something, and immediately the retailer's got all of this information about you from your social credit system. So they're already kind of doing that. Saul says he'll take a contact lens with a heads-up display. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where we're heading, but to me, let's just say that's the case. Let's say I still don't understand how a Lego and Epic getting together has anything to do with that metaverse that we're describing. So there's no use case.
Well, yeah.
So what?
There'll be something. In a virtual world, you'll show
in your
people.
Physical house where you've got the physical copy, there's also a digital copy sitting next to it. That's retarded. That doesn't make any sense.
That's what I'm saying. No, when people can go visit your digital house, they can see that
but that's not.
Have a Lego.
But see, that's different though. You're talking about VR versus AR. And that's where the disconnect is.
Mm-hmm.
AR
is
I
know. That's what they've got to decide. There's very little things they can do with AR that are outside the house. It's not a meta. There's no meta to AR. It's here.
It's a meta. When you're talking about AR, you're talking about an extension of reality, and it would be a HUD or something with pop-ups. I mean, it's no different than what you've got in cars. Have this now. Some of the newer cars have the kind of the glass projection HUD, and it gives you all of the information. And so it's similar to that, but to me, again, that ain't metaverse. So I don't know.
Well, and one more thing from Epic, they did their remember that State of Unreal showcase they did. They had a video.
Yeah, the
Well,
awkward
people
Tim
started
Sweeney
looking
video.
really yeah, people started looking really closely through some of the videos of they were showing computers with the videos of the screens up there. So they're looking at the folder lists, and they saw that they leaked that there's going to be Vader in season 3. So chapter 3, season 3, one of the folders in there. That's just I think someone's hinting that they leaked it, but um, yeah, it has in there Vader. So now we know Vader's coming to Fortnite, and Jones and Doom and all the other
Oh,
ones.
thank God.
Little hints. So
I
if you've
don't
been
know.
wanting Darth Vader in Fortnite, your dreams are coming true soon.
Thank God. I'm chomping at the bit.
Well, we can talk a little more about China here. Riot Games, they have dropped their vaccine and mask requirements so that when the employees are returning to the office, of course,
Oh.
some employees are unhappy. They want to keep the masks on. Of course, I mean, are they sick or is the other person sick? I still don't understand. Who's supposed to wear the mask?
It's called virtue signaling, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sick, I'll wear a mask. How about that? If you're sick, you wear a mask. Deal? Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
No,
I think that's what the point of them are. I mean, if I'm not sick, why do I even need a mask?
Stop. That's not equitable, Brian.
I hate speech.
Enough. It's not equitable, and it offends me. Yeah, so they're saying that in accordance with the LA County health orders, Riot strongly encourages but does not require all individuals to wear a face covering while on Riot property. So they said, we know that some rioters will feel more comfortable wearing masks, and we don't want our campus to be a place where people feel safe and we want our campus to be a place where people feel safe to take whatever precautions best fit their needs. We encourage rioters to have open communications and to be empathetic and accommodating towards those colleagues who prefer masking up. So, and I just have to break from this for a second and put my political hat on. Now all of a sudden we have to be empathetic towards people who want to wear masks, even though there's absolutely no evidence or data to support that they should be wearing them. Yet, if you weren't wearing a mask because you felt that it was stupid and didn't want to wear it, you were deemed a terrible, awful human being, and there was no empathy. But now you have to be empathetic for people
to kill other people.
Yeah, but now you have to be empathetic to people that obviously, and let's just call it what it is, not trusting the science, because the science at this point says, Brian, a cloth face covering does not do anything. So just again, I'm a science person, Brian. I am science, just like Dr. Fauci says he is science. I am also science, so I'm following the science, and the science says the mask doesn't work. So these people just, I guess they're deniers. They're science deniers. How about that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't deny the science.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for them to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable drinking at the same drinking fountain as that person. Can I have a different drinking fountain? I mean, that's the way we're going.
Yep. Good
extreme,
times.
But I mean, here we go. Right back into the boat.
Yep.
Good time. All right. So that also, let's go ahead and jump. Do you want to talk to Microsoft? They had some interesting. There's actually a lot of Microsoft news that might be.
Yeah, we'll probably round out the show here. Yeah, about Microsoft here. A lot of Microsoft news. I guess we need to start off with Microsoft has been able to successfully disrupt a Russian cyber attack targeting Ukraine by seizing domains. So Microsoft went through and was able to seize some domains from a Russian hacking group. How they were able to seize those domains, I don't know. I think I understand.
Okay, here. Let me go. I'm looking at the original. I'm looking at the original source. Here's what they say, and it doesn't necessarily tell me how, but it tells me what they did.
Okay.
So we have established a legal process that enables us to obtain rapid court decisions for this work. Prior to this week, we had taken action through the process 15 times to seize control of more than 100 Strontium controlled domains. So they've come up with some fast-tracked way to be able to now shut down your domain, take your domain.
Yeah, but so here's the question: does that not require the registrar that you have unless they're doing this through the ICANN level and they're seizing it through ICANN? They must be
taking the court to that level, because each of those underneath of it, each of those different domains can be for different countries. Sometimes they're more friendly and receptive to talking, and sometimes not.
But I'm
I
just
bet you these
wondering.
guys, because then they'd have to register one that's not friendly and not receptive to being, to these threats. Then they could keep their domains up. But ICANN would have to shut down anything that's like
And
that.
and I think that's probably what's going on here. Because, like, for example, if you go out and register a domain anywhere, GoDaddy, Namecheap, HostGator, or wherever you register your domain, all of that is being, there's only a couple of companies that actually do the clearing of domains. And at the end
Yep.
of the day, ICANN is the party that is doing it. So these must be direct orders to ICANN. This is
Yep.
concerning to me, though. And I
Yeah.
think this is concerning in the idea that no longer do they have to go after your registrar. For example, if you want to do business with an overseas registrar, well, at that point, it's
Yep.
kind of useless, because if Microsoft can take it to court and get ICANN to blow out your domain and essentially seize it, it doesn't matter what registrar you're doing it at, they all fall under ICANN. So that's very interesting.
And this is, I'm wondering if at some point we're going to get an underground internet, an alternate domain name
Well, you
system.
have it. It's Tor.
Well, yeah, but one where they're pretty much syncing and then adding to the existing,
Tor.
right?
You're describing
Is
Tor.
that what I've not really used Tor? Is that pretty much how it works? I mean, I've
I-
used it a little bit just to try it, but I've not looked at how the technology works.
Okay, let me be clear. I don't know exactly how the technology works, but from what you're describing, that sounds like the Onion browser and kind of the Tor network, which is not using a central registrar for quote unquote domains is what we'll call them.
See, but the thing is, you could do it really simply and just use your own, like use a private DNS that syncs to the regular internet DNS,
But
and then you could add to it and and adjust the calls. So if you wanted to create your own private DNS system that was outside of ICANN, you could.
But okay, so you could do it via the DNS level, but at that point, if you do it outside of the DNS level, then you don't need to register any domain. You can just point, if you have your own private
You could
DNS
do your own
record,
private. Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't need ICANN. You could make your own virtual registrations.
Well, but it's not even registration. At that point, you're not registering anything. You're just pointing
Whoever's
a
running
DNS
the
record.
DNS has to do it. But I'm saying if
just,
this is a public service that you can apply to and use that doesn't filter out anything. Like people can go and apply and register the domains their domains, but there is no central ICANN, right? You become your own ICANN. ICANN's only just a group because people said it's a group so that we start using some central DNS servers. All these DNS servers are linked together. If you step to the side and made your own DNS, ICANN wouldn't exist. There would be no point to ICANN. ICANN's only there for looking up names. If you had your own lookup, you wouldn't need them. That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if some point, if they get corrupted to where they're shutting down and governments are going against each other, there's going to be a point where you might just say, ICANN, we don't need you. You guys are pointless. All you do is you're an index of server names,
well,
right?
Maybe this is an opportunity for a blockchain DNS where you've got a public record and something like that.
And they've still got to come up with maybe a way, because you don't want people just the money thing with ICANN prevents everybody from buying up all the domain names or holding all the domain names. They'd have to come up with something to prevent that from happening. Money's a good way to do that. But however they could do it, or having it to where I don't know, keeping it anonymous would be difficult. But they could.
Yeah, there's no
and
way
I think that if this continues, this kind of thing, because the internet's always been kind of the hands off, it's the safe spot for wars can be happening, but the internet generally stays the same, right? They don't shut down things. Well, that's changed. They blocked various internet accesses to Russia. Now they're going through and dropping domain names that are parts of attacks, regardless of where they're from. As far as the origin of the domain name itself. This is a big step. I don't know if people realize this doesn't happen very often. They said they've done it how many times before? They said in the article, but 15 times. We had taken action through this process 15 times to use control, so more than 100 domains. So they're doing it. They did it 15 times since they've done this change. So it makes me nervous because I like the internet being free and away. I like the fact that, for instance, the American government doesn't run the internet. I like that Russia doesn't run the internet. But if they keep letting this influence affect ICANN and ICANN lets them step in, that could change to where the internet is truly not open and free.
Yeah.
Because when
That
they pick and choose what gets on there, that makes it difficult to be open and free.
that is a very interesting proclamation. I'll have to think about the how that would all play down, but there definitely could be something like that for sure.
I see that where it's going, because with conflict, especially when you start having companies say, we will not register you a domain name because you are offensive. You check all these boxes of things we don't like. That's my concern.
That already happens now.
Well, yeah, it's just started recently happening, and I think it's going to get worse. And when the point of it truly affecting, they're going to have to come up with another system and scrap ICANN.
Yeah, potentially, for sure.
Yeah. We got a lot of random Blizzard news.
Sure.
One thing is Vicarious Visions. They have merged with Blizzard, and they made like Tony Hawk 1, Tony Hawk 2.
I've got a connection with Vicarious Visions. They are actually headquartered in Albany, New York, where I grew up, and
nice.
I actually went there in high school a couple of times with a class I was in. And they also did Rock Band, or excuse me, Guitar Hero was one of their big series that they did. They did Skylanders. Actually, one of the computer science teachers at my high school, I think it was her husband was a programmer over at Vicarious Visions, which has been part of Blizzard for a while, or has been part of Activision for a while, but it's stayed under the name of Vicarious Visions. It's now known as Blizzard Albany. So that is how they are deeming their Blizzard branch, Blizzard Albany. So very cool.
All right. Of course, there's still all the things happening with people being upset about all the Blizzard stuff that's been happening for the last however many years now, 10 years, 15 years, that they've been complaining about. So U.S. senators have been calling out the unacceptable lack of accountability for Bobby Kotick and in the Microsoft buyout. Of course, so they're stepping in. Yes.
Now, I specifically did not open this article, and I did not read about this article. Can I guess a couple of the senators that are outraged with this?
Okay, yeah. Let's see if you get them correct.
Bernie Sanders has got to be on the list.
Yes, he's the first one.
Okay. How about Pocahontas? Elizabeth Warren,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, got her.
Is Jerry Nadler on there? Now he's
Jerry Nadler. I think he's been
old.
Kind of he doesn't understand that stuff.
Who's the vice president? Or he was a presidential nominee. How about Cory Booker?
Yes, Cory Booker's on there.
Okay. So what about?
There's one more.
What AOC?
Nope, she's not on there.
Rashida Tlaib.
There's one more. I don't. No, this one's not one that I've heard a lot. Sheldon Whitehouse.
Oh, Senator Whitehouse. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know that one as much. So I know the others pretty well. But
man,
so
I'll tell you what, it's amazing. It's amazing that you can just look at the title of a story and it is, it's unacceptable about accountability, and you just know the usual suspects, Brian. it's like shooting shooting fish in a barrel.
I know. And they sent a letter to the FTC chairwoman Lena Khan and asking that they investigate whether Microsoft's planned acquisition of Blizzard could worsen the workplace conditions at the company. Microsoft's workplace conditions, I've never heard any complaints about.
No,
we keep hearing about complaints everywhere else. I haven't heard anything that would indicate that going to Microsoft would make them worse. I thought that they were the worst already. How can they get worse when they're supposedly the worst? Wasn't Blizzard the worst?
It's a valid
point. They keep telling us. Yeah. How are they going to get worse by going to Microsoft?
It's very true.
I thought they get rid of all the bad people except for Kotick. I mean, if they just got rid of him, everything would be good, right? So they keep telling us.
Again, I can't argue with you, Brian.
And they said if failing to hold him accountable for the workplace culture he allowed to flourish would be unacceptable. It would be an unacceptable result. How about all of the culture that they are being senators has allowed to fester? How about we hold them accountable? I mean, honestly, these people want to talk about holding people accountable for what's happening under their watch. Bernie Sanders, who's been a politician for how long?
It's 50 years.
Elizabeth Warren, who's been a politician for probably 30 years at least,
Yeah.
right? Booker, who's the younger one. I mean, you talk about accountability. They're the least accountable people who won't even accept when they're proven wrong. They'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, whatever, dude.
Rules for
They
thee,
still don't have anything. Yeah, rules for thee, but not for me.
but not for me. Yeah.
Great.
Well, and again, just talking about this, Cory Booker's probably the only one that has really any sort of semblance. I think White House is a little younger as well. But Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have absolutely. They probably
I don't think they're
have
playing any video games.
I don't think they have. I think if you asked Bernie Sanders what Blizzard was, he would tell you something about a Dairy Queen ice cream. He would not be able to tell you anything about the company Blizzard. He wouldn't know that World of Warcraft was Blizzard or Call of Duty was Activision. He would have no idea. Again, the people that you want making these decisions, and this has often been a problem when we've talked about the federal government getting involved in some of these high-tech topics, is they have no idea. They are so...
And then they say, oh, that doesn't look right. Oh, look at these violent video games. Someone just got shot over there. This is horrible. We need to shut this down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Complete and total disconnection from reality.
So here's another thing that's happened. And of course, a response from the left. Activision Blizzard is converting 1,000 QA workers to full-time employees.
So these
of course,
were...
PC Gamer... Or,
These were
for games, quality assurance testers, game testers.
So, yeah, towards the end of a life's development cycle of a game, you would typically hire some QA testers to get in there and play it. And it's more of it's like a contract, like, hey, you're going to, contact for 6 or 8 weeks, you're going to be working and we'll pay you X amount of dollars, right? Probably.
Yeah, and they've increased the minimum to $20 for that position, and they receive full company benefits and are eligible for the bonus plan.
Well, that's, so, I mean $20 an hour is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's that you would figure that they would be happy about that. But there's been one caveat, according to Massively OP on this one. Blizzard has promoted over 1,000 QA testers and bumps their pay, but not the ones unionizing.
Ah, damn.
You're trying to, you're the guys who are going on Twitter and constantly posting all the negative things about the company you work for and bashing them all the time. Oh, wait, you're not going to get full-time promotion? You're not getting $20 an hour minimum, and you're not getting full benefits? Oh,
I'm shocked.
Bad. Your union, how's that treating you?
This is shocking. So the attorney for the National Labor Relations Board told GameDeveloper.com that the compensation overhauls in the middle of unionization is complicated, as granting raises to unionized employees could be deemed as influencing workers, but without raising raises could be also seen as retaliatory. So in some regard, you may not even be able to call this vindictive, but as they're in the process of unionizing, that is not a time in which an employer wants to play around with wages and benefits while that is being hashed out. So because of their nonsense, they're now losing out, and good. They deserve it.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see. Of course, their union, when this first was announced, were happy, but I don't know if they're going to be happy later when they realize that if they're a part of that thing that they're talking about,
well,
then they won't be.
As of right now, that could change once all of the dust kind of settles with it. But this all comes back to this ABK Workers Alliance, and you've seen the hashtag all over Twitter. This is that group that does nothing but constantly poke the bear about all of this.
I wouldn't want that to be my union. But you want me to allow this group this Twitter account, which I've seen nothing but trash flowing from, and bashing of the company and false statements a lot of times, things that they say that are just conjecture. It's like, I see that from this Twitter account, and it's just, why would they want to have them be a part of it at all? Good. Keep them away, because that place is nothing but trolls sitting there trying to take down a company. They don't want to make the plate company a better place. You think that place cares about making that company better? No, they want power. They want control. They want money. They want all these other things, and have nothing. If you look, You go look at their account. The big thing, GoFundMe. That's the top link they have on there. Is a GoFundMe for them. They want money. It has nothing to do with the
it's a
union.
grift.
Yeah, it has
And
nothing
it's
to do with
funny.
making the employees work because they're making a good situation for all those employees. And but now once they realize that it's not for them, they'll be like, oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, why do they need a union if they have fair treatment and fair wages and fair benefits? Like, why do they need that union?
It is quite funny to see, and yeah, very funny.
Yeah. Well, in Rule Breaking Doorknob, he says, meanwhile, in Europe, unions are considered a good thing. And unions were, in the initial time that they came out, they were righting wrongs in the workplace because there were no workers' rights. That's changed. And now you have unions that are sitting there and blackmailing companies and causing lots of issues. I don't mind a union when it's actually improving the employee situation. But in the end, usually it's not in making the situation better because they're causing more issues and causing it to where maybe you'll get less work. Or I look at there and I wouldn't want to hire someone who's being promoted by people that type trash about my company all day.
Well, and
why would I want them to be a part of it?
And I think Rule Breaking Doorknob brings up an interesting point, and I do kind of want to be clear on this. I'm not anti-union, but let's be clear. These groups that are doing this, specifically in the video game realm, first of all, they're not even real unions.
They're activists. They're activist groups.
Exactly. And it is nothing more than trying to disparage and destroy the company. It's got nothing to do with, typically a union, while yes, it is protecting the workers' rights, traditionally...
Like the Amazon union, right? I think that was a good situation because Amazon is not fairly treating the employees in the work area, in that warehouse area.
Yeah,
they're telling them they can't go to the bathroom and do all these stupid things. Okay, get a union together. Say, hey, we want to be able to take bathroom breaks and have normal working conditions. That's what a union is for.
And I don't know exactly what the details are with that. But just speaking in broad generalities, typically your union wants to have a decent relationship with the company because a rising tide raises all ships, and you typically do not want to destroy the company in which you have unionized members. Because if you destroy the company, well, that means you're just going to have a bunch of unemployed people. And that's what is these left-wing gaming activist groups like ABK, the Workers Alliance, and all of these other grifting groups. They want the companies to be destroyed, which is only going to mean that their stupid unionized workers are going to be unemployed,
their job,
and then go bitch on Twitter that capitalism is the evil problem, and the reason I don't have a job is capitalism. No, it's because your union, like the Gamers Workers Alliance, is essentially holding these companies hostage.
Okay, let's look at the next thing. Magically, it's the same group doing the same thing. They removed the vaccine mandate and the mask mandate for employees, and this ABK said, "Hey, we don't like that you're going to be removing the mandate. We're going to have a walkout from April 4th, at 10 a.m. And we have 3 demands: an immediate reversal of lifting the vaccine requirement." What if you're impeding on my rights?
Yes.
For what? Why? Why if you're going for the workers, why are you now saying to some of your workers, we're going to put more restrictions on you and make it more difficult to go to work? That's what they're saying. That's not a union. That's a political activist group. This right here, them saying they're going to force all the employees to wear a mask, and that's the union saying this. That's not a union. A union would be saying, you know what, we want to be able to work without having to breathe through this thing. It's causing health problems. That's what a union would be saying. This is an activist group that puts itself as a union.
But see, it's interesting because their 2 other demands include remote work should be offered as a permanent solution, and that the decision to work remote or in office should be made by each employee. If you allow people to work from home, then who cares? You don't need a requirement or mandate. No, you don't need a union. You don't need to have the vaccine mandate's irrelevant. If you are uncomfortable with it, then just stay home.
Yeah. Why reverse the mandate if you're going to just say we want the other 2. They're demanding all 3, which affects everybody. It doesn't give you an opt-out plan from their control and their power they're trying to put over you in that company. It's the union I'm talking about.
But I mean,
They're
that's the
saying
problem.
at work you're under us, and at home you're under us. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, again, it's
they're
just
controlling it.
Yeah, this group, I can't get, this group's demands are just ridiculous. So yet again, their employees are going to walk out because of
Because
a
they
company,
don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Well, no, it's not got nothing to do with
come
wearing a
on.
mask. This is a vaccine requirement.
This
has nothing to do with the
mandate
mask.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the mask. This was the mask, but yeah, the vaccine mandate. Same thing, but this one, the vaccine mandate. Why is the union trying to force you to get injected to go to work? When has the union ever done that in the past? Tried to force you to get injected with something to go to a job. A union has never done that before. Not once. Have they tried to say, we're going to make you do something to go back to work, and we're going to force your company to make you do it? When's the union ever said that? It's never happened before. That's what they're saying. The union is saying that we're going to make the company force you to get a vaccine to come to work, or else you're going to get fired. That's what the union's telling the employee.
Backwards. What did Activision do? They reversed the decision.
So
it took
they reversed
one day.
it. They bowed down to the ABK Workers Alliance and reversed it. Now everybody has to have the vaccine. You can't get hired unless you have a vaccine, which they found is causing more health problems. For me, my risk of dying is higher if I go get the vaccine, because I am heavily into sports. I get my heart rate going really heavily, and they found that the vaccine can cause heart issues and clotting. That, for me, raises my risk of dying, and you're telling me I have to do it to go work at your company? You're telling that to me. I play heavy sports multiple times per week. Those are the people dying in droves. And you're telling me I have to go do that? That is not a union for the worker. That is the opposite. And you're telling me that's what you want. That disgusts me. They're telling me to raise my risk of death to go work for the company. Never would a union do that. Not once.
Precisely.
Honestly, my percentage of dying, I have a lower chance of dying from not taking the vaccine than from taking the vaccine right now. And you're telling me to do it. Shame on you for that. Yeah, it goes against what they claim they're saying. It's the opposite of what they claim they're saying. They're not for the worker. They're for the politician. They're for the political party, whatever it is that's backing this. That's what they're for, not for the employees of this company.
Precisely.
It disgusts me. That's frustrating. Anyway,
and they just and it gets proven time and time again that they really don't have any morals. They don't stand their ground on anything. And it's just it's just nothing but virtue signal pandering. It's just incredibly frustrating. So that is over at Activision Blizzard. Announced it on Thursday, reverted it back on Friday because yet again companies are deciding to pander to the woke mob, the loud minority. I will remind you, the loud minority, not the majority, which is typically silent. But hey, if that's how they want to operate their business, more power to them, Brian.
Yeah, I don't, that's the beauty of it. I don't have to work there.
Correct.
So there you go. I mean, if you don't, that's the beauty of here. If you don't like what they have, then don't work there. But if that's the case, don't federally mandate anything to me, because I don't have a choice on that. So
precisely,
that's my opinion. Is there anything else you want to cover? There's a couple of things. Blizzard, of course, removed pro-Russia war symbols from the Zarya skin in Overwatch. So that's happened. A Call of Duty player was trying to prove that he wasn't cheating and accidentally proved that he was. They also did. There was another one I saw where they gave a lie detector test to a guy live on a stream to prove he wasn't cheating, and then right after the results came out, they cut the stream because it said they didn't want to announce those results and embarrass the person, cause problems.
Well, but hold on a second. Lie detectors have been proven to be incredibly inaccurate.
Oh, I know. Well, I think that's why
in court.
I think that's why they said, hey, this could go out of hand really quick because we can't prove that this says that he actually did anything.
Yeah.
And so they just cut it, and they were saying, because of the inaccuracy of lie detector tests, is what I kind of looking at the article. That's why they didn't want to do it, which I understand. But probably the guy cheated, and that's why he's struggling so much with a lie detector test. They're not very accurate, but if he's making it go, he probably did it.
Yeah, very true.
Do you know who came up with the lie detector test?
I do, but I can't relay it to you.
Well, you don't do it, but he's known for something else. For making a certain video, or not a video game, but a comic book hero.
I know what you're talking about, but it is just escaping me.
I think it's Superwoman. Because they were into bondage and weird other stuff, and it's a stupid movie you can watch on Netflix. I think
I had no idea that.
It was like a '60s thing, and her outfit used to be like a seductress outfit, and they made a cartoon, and then they ended up making it a superhero. It's a really weird story, but it's interesting to kind of learn because that's not who you think Wonder Woman. There you go. Like, yeah, it's not who you think Wonder Woman is, but it's all based off of some.
You said this is on Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix, yeah, but it's the story about the guy who created Wonder Woman, because he was making like weird little outfits and drawing them and turned him into a superhero.
And he also made the lie detector?
And they created a lie detector with it.
Huh.
Or they also, while he was doing it, he also created a lie detector because they were looking at, I don't know, it was part of their games and they figured out something doing it. I don't even want to know.
Phenomenal. No, there you go. The hard-hitting information.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with all, but it is lightly linked. I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to cover before we go?
No, sir. I think we're good to go.
Oh, yeah. The guy who came up with it said it's not a lie detector. Yeah, because it's not totally accurate. Am I wrong? Is that the polygraph? Oh, sorry. That was polygraph test is the official term. But yeah, it was polygraph is what he came up with. We call it the lie detector.
Gotcha.
So, all right, cool. Well, hey, if you want to ready to roll out of here, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to get me at Brian Aldridge on Gab, Parler, Getter, whatever else, biteoftech.com for my blog. Of course, infectionpodcast.com. If you go to the right-hand side, make sure you join our server on Discord, where we've got a news channel, we've got a politics channel, we've got a workout channel, all kinds of different things you can do, and 10 ARC servers that are running, and a lot of people on those. You're more than welcome to join. Totally free to jump into the ARC if you want to. If you want to watch the show, you can do that to YouTube, BitChute, DLive, Twitch. And we have the audio or the video forms of those recorded live and after the fact. And then for the audio forms, those are all recorded after the fact. So if you are listening, we will by that time have the show notes uploaded, and you'll be able to click on those and follow along, see all the different videos, articles, everything that we reference throughout the show are available in there. And there's a video and audio player built in as well. If you want to support the show, we got infectionpodcast.com/support tab up top. Or, Prime Gaming subs and all those different ways that you can help support us. And we really appreciate that. Looking forward to another convention, hopefully.
Yeah, I want to thank our buddy Falcon Rain for hitting us up with the 36-month resubscription here on Twitch. Falcon, thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. Thanks for all of the back and forth in the chat. Always love having some of that viewer interaction as well. Well, Brian, hopefully you're not so glitchy next week. I thought it worked out.
It wasn't horrible. Luckily, it wasn't crazy.
Yeah. Well, as always, Brian, thanks for everything, and we will talk with you next week.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it here for another episode of Infection. If you'd like to check out maybe some of my daily political antics, you can visit my website, nickcraig.com, or give me a follow over on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. If you missed any portion of the broadcast, you can head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes and links to everything that we discussed on this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.